Marcus Grant was no stranger to challenges. As the CEO of a successful tech company, he had faced countless obstacles on his journey to the top. He had transformed his business from a struggling startup into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. Now, as he prepared for a business trip to an important conference, he felt a mix of excitement and determination. This trip was crucial not just for his company, but for his own growth as a leader. On the day of the flight, Marcus arrived at the airport with ample time to spare. He wore a tailored suit that spoke of professionalism and confidence. As he navigated through the bustling terminal, he was greeted with friendly faces and warm smiles. He felt proud of his accomplishments and was ready to make a lasting impression at the conference. He checked in for his flight and received his boarding pass, which indicated a first-class seat, a small luxury he allowed himself given the importance of the trip. As he approached the boarding gate, he noticed a mix of passengers, all eager to find their seats. The first-class line moved quickly, and Marcus felt a sense of relief as he made his way onto the aircraft. The flight attendants greeted him with polite smiles, and he nodded in return, feeling a sense of belonging in the exclusive area of the plane. He believed that his hard work had earned him this moment. However, when he reached his seat, a frown crossed his face. A young man was already seated in his place, laughing with his friends. Marcus approached the flight attendant, a woman with a name tag that read Sarah, explained the situation calmly, showing her his boarding pass that clearly indicated his assigned seat. "I'm sorry, sir," Sarah replied, her voice steady yet apologetic. "We have a policy of accommodating passengers in the order they board. Unfortunately, it seems this passenger was mistakenly allowed to sit in your seat." Marcus felt his heart sink. He looked at the young man, who seemed completely unaware of the trouble he had caused. The laughter of the group echoed in his ears, and he could feel his frustration boiling beneath the surface. For a moment, he considered raising his voice, but he remembered the importance of maintaining his composure. "Is there another first-class seat available?" Marcus asked, trying to stay calm and polite. Sarah hesitated. "Let me check," she said, turning to her colleague. After a brief conversation, she returned with an apologetic expression. "I'm sorry, sir. All first-class seats are taken. I can offer you an economy seat." Marcus felt a wave of humiliation wash over him. He had worked hard to achieve his status, and now he was being pushed aside. "I paid for a first-class ticket," he stated firmly. But Sarah could only shake her head in regret as he walked towards the economy section. A sense of disbelief filled his mind. How could this happen? He felt the stares of other passengers as he settled into a cramped seat, far from the comfort he had expected. The reality of the situation began to sink in, and he felt anger bubbling inside him. This was not just about the seat. It was about the principle of respect and recognition for one's hard work. The flight took off, and as the plane climbed into the sky, Marcus stared out of the window, lost in thought. The clouds floated by, soft and white, contrasting sharply. With the weight of his frustration, he replayed the incident over and over in his mind, trying to understand what had gone wrong. Was it simply a mistake, or was it something deeper? He thought about the countless times he had faced similar challenges. Throughout his life, growing up in a world that often judged him based on the color of his skin, he had learned to rise above adversity. He had fought for his place in a corporate landscape that was not always welcoming. Here he was, reduced to a seat in the back of the plane, feeling invisible once again. Despite the discomfort and anger, Marcus knew he had a choice to make. He could either allow this incident to define him or use it as fuel for something greater. As the flight progressed, he began to formulate a plan in his mind. What if he could turn this negative experience into a powerful statement about the need for change? Perhaps this incident could serve as a catalyst for a much larger conversation about respect and equality in the workplace. As he sat there, surrounded by strangers, Marcus resolved to not let this moment defeat him. He would rise from this experience and find a way to make a difference not just for himself, but for others who faced similar injustices. The flight may have taken him to a destination, but it was the journey of self-discovery that would truly define him. As the plane soared high above the clouds, Marcus Grant sat in the cramped economy seat, feeling a mixture of emotions churning inside him. The initial shock of being denied his first-class seat had transformed into a deep sense of anger and a disappointment. He glanced around the cabin, observing the passengers who were either engrossed in their conversations or lost in their personal entertainment. It struck him how oblivious people could be to the struggles of others. While the flight attendants moved through the aisle, serving drinks and snacks, Marcus tried to focus on the task at hand. He pulled out his laptop, intending to prepare for his upcoming presentation at the conference. However, every time he tried to concentrate, his mind drifted back to the incident. The young man who had taken his seat seemed to be enjoying himself, without a care in the world, and that infuriated Marcus even more. He took a deep breath, reminding himself that he was in control of his own reactions. This was not the first challenge he had faced, and it wouldn't be the last. Throughout his life, he had learned to channel his frustrations into productive energy. Instead of wallowing in self-pity, he decided to harness this moment as a source of inspiration. As the flight continued, Marcus began to write down his thoughts. He opened a new document and titled it A Call for Change. Started typing furiously, pouring out his feelings about the importance of respect, quality, and representation in the workplace. Wanted to articulate the challenges faced by people of color in corporate environments and how these experiences often went unnoticed. He wrote about how hard it was to be taken seriously in meetings, to have one's voice heard above the noise of a predominantly white corporate world. He reflected on the struggles of those who had come before him, paving the way for future generations. The more he wrote, the clearer his message became. He envisioned a future where everyone, regardless of their background, would have equal opportunities to succeed. When he finished, he looked at the document, feeling a sense of accomplishment. This was more than just a personal venting session. It was a blueprint for a movement. He realized that he needed to share his experiences not just for himself, but for others who felt marginalized. He wanted to create a dialogue that would encourage change within the industry. As the plane continued its journey, Marcus felt a growing sense of determination. He had not expected this trip to turn into a moment of self-discovery, but here he was, ready to turn a negative experience into a positive mission. He recalled the faces of the team members he had mentored over the years, many of whom had faced similar challenges. He wanted to advocate for them to ensure that their voices were heard and their contributions recognized. The flight attendants began serving meals, and Marcus watched as they moved through the aisles, engaging with passengers. He could see the warmth in their interactions, and despite his earlier frustration, he felt a flicker of hope. If the crew could be educated about the importance of respect and inclusion, maybe he could initiate a change within the airline industry. After the meal service, Marcus decided to take action. He approached one of the flight attendants, a young man named Jason, who had been particularly attentive during the service. "Excuse me," Marcus said, trying to keep his tone polite. "Could I speak with you for a moment?" Jason looked surprised but nodded. "Of course, sir. What can I help you with?" Marcus hesitated, feeling the weight of his words. "I had a bit of a situation earlier regarding my seat. I think it would be important to address how passengers are treated, especially when it comes to seating assignments." Jason listened attentively, and Marcus continued to share his thoughts. He talked about how small actions could have a big impact and how important it was for everyone to feel valued and respected. He explained that he had a vision for improving the experience for all passengers, particularly those who might face discrimination. To Marcus's surprise, Jason responded with enthusiasm. I've often thought about how we could improve our service, especially in terms of inclusivity." He seemed genuinely interested, and Marcus felt encouraged by the conversation as they spoke. Marcus began to realize that this moment could be the beginning of something meaningful. Perhaps he could collaborate with the crew to develop training programs that focused on respect and inclusion, not just for passengers, but for staff as well. This was not just about him. It was about creating a better environment for everyone. Before returning to his seat, Marcus thanked Jason for his willingness to listen. "I appreciate you taking the time to discuss this with me," he said, feeling a newfound sense of purpose. As he settled back into his seat, he felt lighter. He had transformed his frustration into a conversation, and that small step made him feel empowered. The flight was not just a journey to a conference. It was the start of a movement that could bring about real change. Marcus knew that he would not be silenced or overlooked. Instead, he would rise above this experience and use it as a catalyst for something greater. As the plane continued its journey through the sky, Marcus Grant felt a sense of clarity wash over him. The earlier incident had transformed from a moment of humiliation into a spark of inspiration. With his laptop open and his thoughts swirling, he realized that he had the power to create change, not just for himself, but for countless others who face similar challenges. The conversation with Jason, the flight attendant, had ignited a fire within him. It was a reminder that change often starts with a single voice willing to speak up. He began to draft a proposal on his laptop, outlining his vision for a movement focused on inclusivity and respect in the aviation industry. He knew that his own experience was not an isolated incident. Many people had faced similar injustices. It was time to address them head-on. As he typed, Marcus poured his heart into the document. He wrote about the importance of representation, emphasizing how it affects every aspect of a person's experience. In the corporate world, visibility matters. When individuals from diverse backgrounds are included in decision-making rooms, it leads to better outcomes for everyone. He wanted to show that diversity was not just a buzzword but a necessity for progress. Marcus outlined several key points in his proposal, including the need for training programs that educated airline staff about cultural sensitivity and the experiences of marginalized groups. He envisioned workshops where employees could engage in open discussions about bias and inclusion. He wanted to create a culture where everyone felt empowered to speak up, regardless of their position or background. Midway through his writing, Marcus paused and looked out the window. The clouds floated by like cotton candy, and he felt a sense of peace. It was as if the universe was encouraging him to pursue this path. He reflected on his own journey, how he had risen through the ranks despite the obstacles. He had faced discrimination, but he had also found allies who believed in his potential. Now, he could be that ally for others who felt overlooked. As he resumed typing, he thought of the young professionals he had mentored in his company. Many of them had shared their struggles with him, recounting experiences of being dismissed or underestimated. He wanted to ensure that these talented individuals had the opportunities they deserved. He envisioned a future where they could thrive without the weight of bias holding them back. After completing the initial draft of his proposal, Marcus felt a rush of excitement. He knew this was only the beginning. He wanted to gather support from the flight attendants and the captain, who had shown an open mind during their discussions. He believed that if they could work together, they could bring about real change. The plane began its descent, and Marcus quickly saved his work. He felt a surge of determination as he prepared to share his vision with the crew. He wanted to inspire them to become advocates for change within the airline industry. As they landed, he could hardly contain his excitement. This was not just a business trip. It was a mission to elevate the voices of those who had been silenced for too long. Once the plane came to a stop at the gate, Marcus took a deep breath and gathered his belongings. He approached Jason, who was busy assisting other passengers. "Jason," he called out, catching the young man's attention. "Do you have a moment?" "Of course," Jason replied, wiping his hands on his uniform. "What's on your mind?" Marcus smiled, grateful for Jason's openness. "I've been working on a proposal for a program that focuses on inclusivity and respect in the aviation industry. I'd love to discuss it with you and see if we can get the crew involved." Jason's eyes lit up with interest. "That sounds amazing. I'd be happy to help. I think there's a real need for something like this." Marcus felt a rush of hope. "Great. I believe that if we can get the entire crew on board, we can make a significant impact. This is about more than just one incident. It's about creating a better environment for everyone." As they spoke, other crew members began to gather around, curious about the conversation. Marcus seized the opportunity to share his ideas with them. He articulated his vision, explaining the importance of training programs and open discussions about diversity and respect. The crew listened attentively, nodding in agreement. "I believe we can create a culture where everyone feels valued," Marcus concluded. If we stand together, we can make a difference. The room filled with a sense of excitement and possibility. One of the flight attendants, a woman named Lisa, chimed in. "I love this idea. We often have to deal with difficult situations, and this would help us handle them better." Encouraged by their enthusiasm, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that this was just the beginning of a larger movement. Together, they could create a ripple effect that would extend far beyond the airline. As they exchanged ideas and plans, Marcus felt more empowered than ever. He was no longer just a passenger on a flight. He was a leader on a mission to inspire change. As the conversation in the airport lounge continued, Marcus felt a surge of excitement and purpose. The flight attendants gathered around him, buzzing with energy and enthusiasm for the proposal he had laid out. This was not just a conversation. It was the beginning of something significant. They were united by a common goal: to create a more inclusive and respectful environment in the aviation industry. One of the flight attendants, Lisa, took the lead. "I think we should organize a meeting to discuss this further," she suggested. "We can invite other crew members and even our supervisors. The more voices we have, the stronger our message will be." Marcus nodded vigorously, appreciating her initiative. "That's a great idea. If we can get everyone involved, we can develop a comprehensive plan that addresses the issues we face and suggests real solutions." The crew members started brainstorming ideas on how to spread the message. They discussed potential training workshops, awareness campaigns, and even ways to involve passengers in the conversation. It was clear that everyone was passionate about making a difference. As they planned, Marcus felt a sense of hope growing within him. This was not just about his experience. It was about the collective experiences of many people who had been overlooked. He envisioned a series of workshops where crew members could share their stories and learn from one another, fostering a deeper understanding of the challenges faced by diverse individuals in their industry. After about an hour of brainstorming, the group decided to draft a formal proposal to present to their supervisors. Marcus took the lead in writing the document, while others contributed their ideas and suggestions. They worked together, each member contributing their unique perspective, and the energy in the room was electrifying. Once the proposal was complete, Marcus felt a sense of accomplishment. They had outlined their mission, detailing the importance of inclusivity and respect. The document included suggestions for training programs, workshops, and community engagement initiatives, all aimed at fostering a culture of understanding and acceptance. Before they wrapped up their meeting, Marcus suggested they create a name for their initiative. After some discussion, they decided on Skyward together. The name symbolized their shared journey toward a better future and represented the unity they had formed as a team with the proposal in hand. The group agreed to present it to their supervisors the following week. Marcus felt a mix of nerves and excitement. This was a pivotal moment, and he wanted to ensure that their message was heard loud and clear as they said their goodbyes. Marcus felt grateful for the connections he had made during this flight. He had come aboard as a passenger, feeling defeated and overlooked. Now, he was leaving as a leader, ready to advocate for change. In the days that followed, Marcus threw himself into preparations for the meeting with the supervisors. He gathered additional research on the benefits of diversity and inclusion in the workplace, preparing to present compelling arguments that would support their cause. He wanted to ensure that the supervisors understood the importance of their initiative and the positive impact it could have on the airline and its employees. On the day of the meeting, Marcus arrived early, reviewing his notes and ensuring everything was in order. The atmosphere in the conference room was tense as the flight attendants and crew members took their seats. Marcus could see the nervous energy in the room, but he also sensed a shared determination among the group. They were ready to make their voices heard. When the supervisors entered the room, Marcus stood up to introduce the initiative. He spoke confidently, outlining the mission of Skyward together and the importance of creating a culture of respect and inclusion in the aviation industry. He shared personal anecdotes, highlighting the challenges he and others had faced, and how this initiative could help address those issues. The supervisors listened attentively, and Marcus could feel their interest growing as he spoke. He presented the proposal they had crafted together, detailing the training programs and workshops they envisioned. He emphasized the positive impact that inclusivity would have, not only on employees, but also on the passengers who flew with them. After he finished, there was a brief silence in the room. The supervisors exchanged glances, and Marcus held his breath, waiting for their response. Finally, one of the supervisors, a woman named Karen, spoke up. "Thank you for this presentation, Marcus. It's clear that a lot of thought and passion went into this proposal. We appreciate your initiative." The room buzzed with energy as the supervisors began to discuss the proposal. They asked questions and offered suggestions, and Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. He could see that they were taking the matter seriously, and that gave him hope for the future. As the meeting concluded, Marcus knew that this was just the beginning of a larger movement. He had taken a significant step forward, and he was proud to be part of a team dedicated to making a difference. Together, they were ready to take action and create a more inclusive environment for everyone in the aviation industry. After the successful presentation of the Skyward Together initiative, Marcus Grant felt a renewed sense of purpose. The supervisors had been receptive to their ideas, and it was clear that they were willing to support the movement. As the days turned into weeks, the crew began to work diligently on implementing the training programs and workshops they had proposed. The energy within the airline was palpable. Crew members who had once felt disheartened by their experiences were now filled with hope. They met regularly to discuss their progress and share ideas on how to engage their colleagues and create a more inclusive atmosphere. Marcus took on a leadership role, guiding discussions and encouraging participation from everyone. One afternoon, while brainstorming ideas for an upcoming workshop, Lisa, one of the flight attendants, suggested, "What if we invite guest speakers who can share their experiences with discrimination in the workplace? Hearing real stories could have a powerful impact." Marcus nodded in agreement. "That's a fantastic idea. Personal stories can be very moving and can help us all understand the importance of our mission on a deeper level." They decided to reach out to local organizations that focused on diversity and inclusion. After a few weeks of coordination, they successfully arranged for several speakers to join their first workshop. The day of the event arrived, and excitement buzzed through the air. The crew gathered in a large conference room ready to listen, learn, and participate in meaningful discussions. As the workshop commenced, the guest speakers shared their personal stories of overcoming adversity in the workplace. They spoke candidly about the challenges they had faced due to their backgrounds and identities. The room was filled with emotion as crew members listened intently. Many moved to tears by the courage and resilience of the speakers. Marcus watched. As the impact of these stories unfolded, crew members who had previously been quiet began to share their own experiences, opening up about moments when they felt dismissed or underestimated. The atmosphere shifted from one of discomfort to one of solidarity. Everyone realized that they were not alone in their struggles. This shared understanding strengthened their bond. As the workshop progressed, Marcus facilitated discussions, encouraging everyone to express their thoughts and feelings. He emphasized the importance of empathy and active listening. "We all have a role to play in creating a respectful environment," he reminded the group. "It starts with conversations like these." The workshop concluded with a powerful group activity. Everyone was asked to write down their commitments to fostering inclusivity and respect within the airline. Some promised to speak up when they witnessed discrimination, while others committed to supporting their colleagues in difficult situations. When the session ended, they shared their commitments aloud, creating a chorus of voices united in purpose. That day marked a turning point for the crew. They left the conference room feeling empowered and motivated. The Skyward Together initiative was no longer just a proposal. It had become a movement, and they were all part of it. In the weeks that followed, the crew implemented further workshops and training sessions. Each event brought new insights and strengthened their community. They saw a shift in the culture of the airline as more and more employees began to engage in discussions about diversity and inclusion. Marcus felt proud of what they had accomplished together. The airline was becoming a place where everyone felt valued, and he knew that this change would have a lasting impact. They had set the foundation for a more inclusive environment, and he was excited to see where it would lead. One day, while Marcus was reviewing feedback from the latest workshop, he received an unexpected call. It was from Karen, one of the supervisors. "Marcus, we've been closely following the progress of the Skyward Together initiative," she said. "Your efforts have not gone unnoticed. We would like to formally recognize your team at the upcoming company-wide meeting." Marcus was taken aback by the news. "Thank you, Karen. That means a lot to us. We've worked hard to create positive change. We believe your initiative can serve as a model for other departments," Karen continued. "We would like you to present your findings and experiences to the entire company." Marcus felt a rush of excitement mixed with nervousness. This was an incredible opportunity to share their journey and inspire others to follow suit. "I would be honored to present," he replied, his voice steady. As the meeting date approached, Marcus and the crew prepared diligently. They wanted to showcase the impact of their work and encourage others to embrace inclusivity in their own teams. They practiced their presentation, ensuring that every voice was heard and every story captured the essence of their mission. Finally, the day arrived. As Marcus stood before his colleagues at the company-wide meeting, he felt a mix of nerves and determination. He looked out at the crowd, seeing familiar faces and new ones, all eager to learn about the Skyward Together initiative. With his heart racing, he began to speak, sharing their journey, the challenges they faced, and the progress they had made. As he shared the stories of resilience and hope, he could see the audience becoming engaged. They were listening, and for Marcus, that was a victory in itself. This was not just about them. It was about creating a movement that would resonate throughout the company and beyond. The atmosphere in the conference hall was electric as Marcus stood at the podium, ready to present the Skyward Together initiative to his colleagues. He could feel the anticipation in the air, and he took a moment to gather his thoughts. This was not just a presentation. It was a chance to inspire others to join in the mission of creating a more inclusive culture within the airline. As he began to speak, he felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I want to share a journey that started with a personal experience but has grown into a movement. This is the story of Skyward Together." Marcus spoke passionately about the initial incident that had sparked this initiative. He recounted the feeling of being denied his first-class seat, transforming that moment of humiliation into a call for change. His words resonated with the audience, and he could see their engagement grow as he shared his vision for a more respectful and inclusive environment. He highlighted the workshops and training sessions that had taken place in the weeks following the launch of the initiative. "We invited guest speakers who shared their personal stories of overcoming adversity," he explained. "These stories opened our eyes to the challenges many face. They helped us realize the importance of empathy and understanding." He continued. Marcus emphasized the impact of their collective efforts. "Together, we have created a culture where conversations about diversity are welcomed. We have made commitments to support one another, to stand up against discrimination, and to ensure that everyone feels valued." The audience was captivated. Marcus noticed nods of agreement and expressions of determination from his colleagues. He shared testimonials from crew members who had participated in the workshops, detailing how their perspectives had shifted and how they felt empowered to take action. "Change does not happen overnight," Marcus reminded them, "but it starts with small steps. Each one of us has the power to make a difference. Together, we can create a ripple effect that extends far beyond our airline." As he concluded his presentation, the room erupted in applause. Marcus felt a surge of pride and gratitude. They had not only shared their story, but it also ignited a flame of inspiration in others. This was a turning point for the airline. He was proud to be part of it. In the days that followed the presentation, the Skyward Together initiative gained momentum. More employees began to engage in discussions about diversity and inclusion. Crew members who had previously felt hesitant to speak up were now sharing their thoughts and experiences. The atmosphere within the airline was changing for the better. Marcus received an outpouring of support from colleagues who wanted to get involved. Many reached out to him, eager to help organize more workshops or contribute ideas for new initiatives. He was thrilled to see that their efforts were inspiring others to take action. One day, as Marcus was reviewing feedback from the recent workshops, he received an unexpected email. It was from a senior executive in the company, expressing interest in collaborating with the Skyward Together initiative. The executive wanted to discuss ways to implement similar programs across other departments. Recognizing the importance of fostering an inclusive workplace throughout the entire organization, Marcus felt a rush of excitement. This was the opportunity they had been hoping for, the chance to expand their efforts and create a lasting impact on the entire company. He quickly arranged a meeting with the executive, eager to share their successes and explore how they could work together to further promote inclusivity. At the meeting, Marcus presented the feedback they had collected from employees and shared success stories from the workshops. The executive listened attentively, nodding along as Marcus spoke passionately about the need for ongoing training and support. Our goal is to create a culture where everyone feels respected and valued, regardless of their background, Marcus explained. The executive was impressed. I can see the potential for this initiative to make a significant impact across the company. We need to ensure that this message reaches every department, and I believe we can work together to make that happen. As they discussed potential collaborations, Marcus felt a sense of hope. This was more than just a project. It was a movement that could transform the entire organization. They brainstormed ideas for company-wide training sessions, outreach programs, and community partnerships aimed at promoting diversity and inclusion. In the following weeks, the Skyward Together initiative expanded beyond the flight crew. They began to involve employees from various departments, creating a network of advocates for inclusivity within the airline. Marcus felt invigorated by the growth of the movement, knowing that they were making strides toward a more equitable workplace. As the initiative gained traction, Marcus was invited to share their success story at industry conferences and events. He spoke passionately about the importance of inclusivity in aviation and the positive impact it could have on both employees and passengers. His words resonated with many, inspiring other airlines to consider implementing similar programs. Through his efforts, Marcus not only championed change within his own airline, but also sparked a broader conversation about diversity and inclusion in the aviation industry. He knew that their journey was far from over, but he felt proud of the progress they had made. The ripple effect of their work was beginning to be felt, and he was excited to see where it would lead. As the months passed, the Skyward Together initiative continued to grow, transforming not just the airline but also the aviation industry as a whole. Marcus Grant's vision of inclusivity and respect was becoming a reality, and he felt an immense sense of pride in the progress they had made. The workshops, training sessions, and open dialogues had fostered a culture where every employee felt valued and heard. With each new event, more employees stepped forward to share their stories. The airline had become a place where conversations about diversity were welcomed, not shied away from. Crew members recognized the importance of their roles in creating a supportive environment. It was inspiring to see how far they had come since that fateful flight, when Marcus had been denied his first-class seat. One day, Marcus received an invitation to speak at a national aviation conference. This was a significant opportunity for him to share their journey and the impact of the Skyward Together initiative on a larger platform. He was excited yet nervous, knowing that he would be addressing industry leaders and advocates for change. As the date of the conference approached, Marcus dedicated himself to preparing a compelling presentation. He wanted to highlight not just their successes, but also the challenges they had faced along the way. He believed that sharing their complete story would resonate with others and encourage them to take similar initiatives in their workplaces. On the day of the conference, arrived at the venue, greeted by a sea of faces eager to learn and share. He took a deep breath as he stepped onto the stage, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He looked out at the audience, seeing representatives from various airlines and organizations. This was a chance to inspire change on a grand scale. "Good morning, everyone," Marcus began, his voice steady. "Today I want to share a story about resilience, community, and the power of inclusivity. It's a story that began with a simple incidental denial of a first-class seat and transformed into a movement that is changing the way we think about our industry. He recounted the events leading up to the launch of Skyward Together, detailing the initial frustration he had felt and how it had sparked a desire for change. As he spoke, he could see the audience leaning in, captivated by his words. He shared the stories of crew members who had bravely opened up about their own experiences and how those stories had fostered empathy and understanding. Marcus emphasized the importance of creating a culture of respect within the aviation industry. When we embrace diversity and inclusivity, we not only empower our employees, but also enhance the experience for our passengers, he explained. A diverse team brings a wealth of perspectives, leading to better decision-making and innovation. He spoke, Marcus felt a sense of connection with the audience. He encouraged them to take action, to implement similar initiatives in their own organizations. Change starts with each one of us, he urged. Let's work together to create environments where everyone feels valued, regardless of their background. Following his presentation, the audience erupted in applause. Marcus felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He had shared their journey, and it seemed to resonate with many in the room. After the session, he was approached by several industry leaders who expressed interest in collaborating to promote inclusivity across their airlines. Over the next few weeks, Marcus found himself in meetings with executives from various airlines, discussing ways to implement training programs similar to Skyward Together. The movement was gaining momentum. He was excited to see the ripple effects spreading beyond his airline. As the initiative continued to flourish, Marcus and his team received recognition for their efforts. They were awarded the Diversity Champion Award at a prestigious industry event, celebrating their commitment to fostering an inclusive culture. The recognition was not just a personal achievement for Marcus. It was a testament to the hard work of the entire crew who had rallied behind the cause. With each step forward, Marcus reflected on the journey they had taken. He remembered the feelings of humiliation and frustration that had ignited this movement, and he felt grateful for the support of his colleagues. They had turned a negative experience into a powerful catalyst for change, proving that adversity could lead to meaningful growth. As he stood on stage to accept the award, Marcus looked out at the audience, filled with hope and determination. This award is not just for us, it's for everyone who has ever felt overlooked or undervalued, he said. Together we can create a future where every voice is heard and every person is respected. In that moment, Marcus knew that their work was far from over. The Skyward Together initiative had laid the foundation for a lasting legacy of change, one that would continue to inspire future generations. He envisioned a future where inclusivity was not just a goal, but a standard within the aviation industry. As he left the stage, Marcus felt a sense of fulfillment. He had come full circle from a passenger denied a seat to a leader advocating for change. The journey had been challenging, but it had also been incredibly rewarding. He was excited to continue the work, knowing that the impact of their efforts would be felt for years to come. Together, they were not just changing an industry, they were changing lives.